We all go through moments when life feels overwhelming, when nothing seems to go our way, and the weight of uncertainty presses down on us. It's in these moments that happiness seems like a distant memory, something reserved for better times. But what if I told you that happiness isn't something we find? It's something we create. Even in the toughest times, we have the power to choose how we respond. Hard times test us in ways we never expect. They challenge our patience, shake our confidence, and make us question if we have what it takes to keep going. In these moments, it's easy to feel trapped, like we have no control over what's happening around us. But the truth is, while we may not be able to change our circumstances immediately, we can always change how we see them. The way we choose to interpret our struggles determines how we experience them. It's not the situation itself that defines our happiness, it's the perspective we bring to it. When we go through difficulties, our mind naturally focuses on what's wrong. It highlights the obstacles, the uncertainty, the pain. It's a survival instinct designed to protect us. But the problem is, when we only focus on what's going wrong, we lose sight of what could go right. We become so consumed by the problem that we forget to look for the possibility hidden within it. Every challenge carries with it an opportunity, but we can only see it if we're willing to shift our perspective. Think about the times in your life when you've grown the most. Chances are those moments weren't when everything was easy. Growth happens in discomfort. Strength is built in adversity. Wisdom is gained through experience. The struggles we face today shape the person we become tomorrow. When we start to see our challenges as a chance to learn and grow, they stop feeling like dead ends and start feeling like stepping stones. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? We begin to ask, what is this teaching me? That one shift in thinking transforms frustration into curiosity, fear into resilience, and setbacks into comebacks. Difficult times also force us to reevaluate what truly matters. They strip away distractions and bring clarity. When life is comfortable, we often take things for granted, our relationships, our health, our time. But when we face hardship, we suddenly see what's essential. We realize that happiness doesn't come from external success, but from the small, meaningful moments we often overlook. A conversation with a loved one, a quiet walk outside, the ability to wake up and try again, these become the things that sustain us. Perspective isn't about ignoring the reality of our situation. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about choosing what we give power to. Two people can go through the exact same situation and come out with completely different experiences. One sees only the hardship while the other sees the lesson. One feels defeated while the other finds the strength to keep moving. The difference isn't the circumstance, it's the mindset. When we adopt the perspective that challenges are part of the journey, they lose their power over us. We stop seeing them as unfair punishments and start seeing them as temporary seasons. And just like every season, they eventually pass. Winter never lasts forever. The key is reminding ourselves that no matter how difficult things feel right now, they will change. The question is, how will we change with them? Shifting our perspective is a choice we make every day. It's waking up and deciding to see what's possible instead of what's missing. It's understanding that struggle doesn't mean we're failing, it means we're growing. It's knowing that no matter what we face, we have the power to reframe it, to find meaning in it, and to use it to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient than we were before. The people we surround ourselves with shape our thoughts, emotions, and even our ability to navigate difficult times. When we're struggling, we often think that happiness is something we have to find within ourselves. And while that's partly true, we can't ignore the influence of the people around us. Our environment plays a huge role in determining our mindset, our energy, and our resilience. The company we keep can either lift us up or drag us down, and in hard times, that difference is everything. When we're going through challenges, negativity can feel like a magnet. It's easy to gravitate toward people who will validate our frustrations, who will agree with us when we say things are unfair or hopeless. And while venting can feel good in the moment, staying in that space for too long only deepens our struggles. Misery loves company, but so does joy, hope, and strength. The question is, which do we want more of? The answer lies in the people we choose to keep close. We all have people in our lives who bring out the best in us. They are the ones who remind us of our strengths when we forget, who challenge us to see beyond our current struggles, and who refuse to let us sink into self-pity. They don't dismiss our pain, but they also don't let us stay stuck in it. They remind us of who we are, even when we can't see it ourselves. These are the people who give us energy instead of taking it away, who encourage us instead of discouraging us, who make us believe that better days are ahead even when we can't see them yet. Surrounding ourselves with the right people doesn't just mean seeking out those who uplift us, it also means creating distance from those who drain us. There are people who, whether intentionally or not, pull us into negativity, doubt, or fear. They focus on everything that's wrong. They highlight our failures instead of our progress. And they make hard times feel even harder. It's not about blaming them or cutting them out completely, but we have to be mindful of how much influence they have over us. Protecting our energy is just as important as protecting our time. The right people don't always have to be those closest to us. Sometimes they are mentors, books, podcasts, or even strangers who inspire us in unexpected ways. When we're struggling, we have to be intentional about the voices we let in. What we consume, whether it's conversation, social media, or the content we watch, affects our mindset more than we realize. If we constantly expose ourselves to negativity, fear, and doubt, we will absorb it. But if we choose to surround ourselves with voices that inspire, motivate, and uplift, we give ourselves a fighting chance to stay strong, even in difficult moments. We are not meant to go through life alone, and especially not through hard times. Strength isn't about carrying every burden by ourselves, it's about knowing when to lean on others. The right people remind us that we don't have to have everything figured out, that it's okay to ask for help, and that vulnerability isn't weakness, but connection. They remind us of our capacity to keep going, even when we feel like giving up. They help us see the light when all we can see is darkness. In the end, the people we surround ourselves with are a reflection of what we want for ourselves. If we want resilience, we should be around people who are resilient. If we want hope, we should be around people who believe in a better future. If we want happiness, we should surround ourselves with those who bring joy, laughter, and a sense of possibility. The people we choose to keep close don't just influence how we handle hard times, they shape who we become because of them. When we go through difficult times, our natural instinct is to turn inward. We focus on our struggles, our fears, and the weight we're carrying. It's easy to feel like we don't have anything left to give. Like we need to fix our own problems before we can think about anyone else. But the irony is, one of the most powerful ways to lift ourselves up is by lifting up others. Serving others isn't just about generosity, it's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we can offer, from our struggles to our ability to create meaning despite them. Pain has a way of making us feel isolated, like we're the only ones carrying a heavy burden. But when we step outside of ourselves and help someone else, we're reminded that struggle is universal. Everyone is going through something, and sometimes the smallest act of kindness can make a bigger difference than we realize. A simple gesture, a kind word, a moment of listening, a small favor can completely change someone's day. And when we see the impact we can have, even in a small way, we start to regain a sense of purpose. Serving others doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't require money, resources, or even a lot of time. It can be as simple as showing up for a friend, offering encouragement to someone who's struggling, or sharing our own experiences in a way that makes someone else feel less alone. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can give is our presence. Just being there, just letting someone know they are seen and heard can be enough. And in the process, we remind ourselves that we are not powerless. We may not be able to change our own circumstances overnight, but we can change something for someone else. Helping others also puts our own struggles into perspective. It doesn't mean our problems disappear, but it reminds us that life is bigger than just what we're going through. When we step into someone else's world, we gain a new appreciation for what we still have. Gratitude often follows service because it opens our eyes to the things we might have overlooked. Even in hard times, we still have something to offer. Even when we feel empty, we can give something that fills someone else. And in doing so, we start to feel full again. There's a deep connection between happiness and contribution. When we feel stuck, disconnected, or lost, it's often because we feel like we're not adding value, like we're just trying to survive rather than truly live. But the moment we step into service, that changes. Purpose isn't something we find, it's something we create through our actions. When we help someone else, even in a small way, we're reminded that we matter, that we have something to give, and that our struggles don't define our ability to make an impact. Difficult times can make us feel powerless, but service reminds us that we are not. It shifts our focus from what's missing to what's possible, from what we lack to what we can still give. It reconnects us with others and reminds us that we're not alone. And most importantly, it reignites a sense of purpose, one that fuels us even in our darkest moments. Because when we serve others, we don't just help them. We help ourselves. We remind ourselves that we are still capable of making a difference, and that even in our hardest moments, we still have the power to create something meaningful. Gratitude has the power to transform the way we experience life, especially in difficult times. When we are struggling, it's easy to focus on what's going wrong, on what we've lost, or on what we wish was different. Our minds naturally gravitate toward problems, pain, and uncertainty, but gratitude shifts that focus. It doesn't erase the challenges we face, but it changes the way we see them. It reminds us that even in the midst of hardship, there is still good, still beauty, still something worth holding on to. One of the most powerful things about gratitude is that it's a choice. It's not dependent on our circumstances. It's dependent on our perspective. There will always be things that are difficult, frustrating, or painful, but there will also always be things to appreciate, no matter how small. The simple act of recognizing those things changes our emotional state. It shifts our attention from what's missing to what's present, from scarcity to abundance. The more we focus on what we have, the less power we give to what we lack. Gratitude also has a way of pulling us into the present moment. When we're going through tough times, our minds often live in the past, replaying what went wrong, or in the future, worrying about what might happen next. But gratitude grounds us in the now. It reminds us to take a deep breath and notice the little things, the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the kindness of a stranger. It's in these small moments that we find peace, even when life feels uncertain. Difficult times can make us feel powerless, but gratitude reminds us of what we still control. We may not be able to change everything about our situation, but we can choose how we respond to it. We can choose to look for the silver linings, to appreciate the people who stand by us, and to acknowledge the lessons that hardship is teaching us. Even in pain, there is something to be learned. Even in struggle, there is an opportunity to grow. Gratitude helps us see that. It's easy to think that gratitude is only for the good times, that we should be thankful when life is going well. But gratitude is most powerful when things are hard. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine or ignoring our struggles. It means choosing to see beyond them. It means recognizing that even in the midst of darkness, there are still moments of light. A kind word, a small victory, a memory that brings a smile. These things may not fix everything, but they remind us that joy still exists, even in difficulty. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to reflect on something good, no matter how small. Writing down 3 things we're grateful for, sending a message of appreciation to someone, or just pausing to acknowledge something beautiful around us. These simple actions shift our mindset over time. They train our brains to focus on the positive, to see opportunities instead of obstacles, and to find hope even in the hardest moments. Gratitude is one of the few things that can instantly change how we feel without changing anything about our external circumstances. It reminds us that happiness isn't something we have to chase, it's something we can cultivate right now, exactly where we are. When we choose gratitude, we take back control of our emotions. We stop waiting for life to be perfect and start appreciating life as it is. And in that shift, we find strength, we find resilience, and we find a deeper sense of peace, no matter what we're going through. In difficult times, progress can feel slow, almost invisible. When we're struggling, we often look for big breakthroughs, expecting a sudden change that will make everything better. But real change doesn't happen all at once. It happens through small steps, little victories that, over time, add up to something bigger. The problem is we tend to overlook those small wins because we think they don't matter. We tell ourselves that if we're not making huge progress, we're not making any progress at all. But that's not true. Every step forward, no matter how small, is still movement in the right direction. When we celebrate small wins, we remind ourselves that we are making progress, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Every challenge we face requires effort. And every effort we make, no matter how minor, is proof that we are still trying. And trying is what keeps us going. When life feels overwhelming, even the smallest action, getting out of bed, making a phone call, taking care of one responsibility, can be a victory. These moments, though they may seem insignificant, build momentum. They remind us that we are capable. They remind us that we are moving forward, even if the road ahead is long. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck in hard times is because they're measuring success in the wrong way. They expect instant results, dramatic changes, and when they don't see them, they assume they've failed. But success isn't about how quickly we get to the finish line, it's about continuing to take steps, even when we feel like we're barely moving. It's about recognizing that every little thing we do to improve our situation, our mindset, or our circumstances is a win. And when we start acknowledging those wins, something powerful happens. We build confidence. Small wins create a sense of accomplishment, which fuels motivation. When we achieve something, no matter how minor, our brain releases dopamine, a chemical that makes us feel good and encourages us to keep going. This is why recognizing small victories is so important. It shifts our focus from how far we have to go to how far we've already come. It turns an impossible journey into a series of manageable steps. And each time we acknowledge a win, we strengthen our belief in our ability to overcome challenges. Hard times often make us feel powerless, like nothing we do is making a difference. But small wins remind us that we still have control. They show us that even in uncertainty, even in struggle, we can still take action. And action, no matter how small, is what creates change. It's what keeps us moving forward when everything in us wants to stop. Even something as simple as completing a task, having a positive conversation, or choosing to show up when we don't feel like it can be a win. The more we recognize these moments, the more we start to believe in our own resilience. Small wins also shift our perspective. Instead of waiting for happiness to come from a big achievement, we start finding joy in the process. We stop chasing the idea that we'll only be happy when we reach a certain goal, and we start appreciating the progress we're making along the way. When we focus only on the big picture, we miss the beauty of the small moments, the effort, the persistence, the quiet victories that no one else sees. But those are the moments that build strength. Those are the moments that define resilience. Difficult times don't last forever, but the habits we build during them do. If we learn to recognize small wins now, we'll carry that mindset with us no matter what challenges come next. And in the end, it's not about how fast we reach the finish line, it's about the fact that we never stop moving. Because as long as we keep going, we are already winning. Hope is often seen as something we either have or don't have, as if it's an emotion that appears in good times and disappears in hardship. But hope isn't just a feeling, it's a choice. It's something we practice, something we cultivate, something we commit to even when we don't feel it. Hope is not passive, it's active. It's not about wishing things were better, it's about believing they can be and doing the work to make that belief a reality. And that requires discipline. Hard times test our ability to hold on to hope. When things aren't going our way, when life feels uncertain, when nothing seems to be changing, it's easy to give in to doubt. It's easy to think that if we don't feel hopeful, then there is no hope. But hope isn't about how we feel in the moment. It's about what we choose to focus on despite the moment. It's about reminding ourselves that setbacks are not the end of the story, that obstacles are not permanent, that even the darkest night eventually turns to morning. Hope isn't something that just shows up, it's something we work for. Practicing hope means training our minds to look beyond what is happening right now and to see what is still possible. It means resisting the urge to surrender to fear, negativity, and despair. It means reminding ourselves that no matter how hard things are, they will not stay this way forever. That discipline, that intentional effort to see beyond our current struggles is what keeps us moving forward. Hope is not naive optimism. It's the courage to believe in a future that doesn't yet exist and the willingness to take steps toward it. Hope also requires action. It's not just about thinking positively, it's about doing something, no matter how small, to create progress. It's about making the choice every day to keep showing up. Sometimes hope looks like setting a goal. Sometimes it looks like asking for help. Sometimes it looks like simply refusing to give up. The people who survive and thrive through hardship aren't necessarily the ones who had it easiest. They're the ones who kept going, who kept believing, who refused to accept that things had to stay the way they were. They disciplined themselves to hope, even when it was hard. Hope is not about ignoring reality, it's about facing reality with the belief that it can be changed. It's about acknowledging the struggle, but refusing to let it define us. It's about seeing failure, pain, and loss not as the end, but as part of a larger journey. It's about understanding that even when we don't see progress right away, the effort still matters. Every time we choose hope over despair, we strengthen our ability to keep going. Every time we push forward when we feel like giving up, we train ourselves to be more resilient. It's easy to feel hopeful when everything is going well, but real hope is built in the moments when things are falling apart. It's in those moments that we have to fight for it, to discipline ourselves to hold on to it, to remind ourselves that we have survived hard things before, and we will survive this too. Hope is not just something we wait for, it's something we create. And when we make it a practice, a discipline, a commitment, we build the strength to endure, to grow, and to find light even in the darkest places.